Good morning, everybody. Good to see you again, kids. This is our workshop rotation Sunday school lesson, and this is for Sunday, October 4th. So happy October. Do you like October as much as I do? I really like October. I like seeing the fall leaves. I like pumpkins. I like, what else do I like? I like the cooler weather, and I like taking drives and seeing all the pretty leaves and trees, and I like trunk or treat, which we're going to have this year. So, anyhow, I like October. So, happy October to you, all right? See, what are we going to do today? I know what I want to mention. If you were here this past Sunday, we had a great time with KOK's first Sundays on Sunday. I'm so proud of all of you that were here, and those of you who could not be here. I'm so sorry. Maybe we can do it again, I hope. But kids, you just did great. You wore your mask. You stayed socially distant. You did as you were asked, and your drawings, your chalk drawings. Davey's showing you some pictures now that he got to take. You'll remember we had that drone flying over us all afternoon. Well, guess what? It didn't work. Unfortunately, the pictures didn't come out right. But Davey fortunately took a lot of other pictures, so we have those. And it was just a great time, and it was really good for all the staff at the church to see you and hear you and get to talk to you. And our preschoolers did great, so thank you for coming out, and we'll be doing more in the weeks ahead, okay? All right, thank you. All right, so for today's lesson, it's our final lesson on Abraham and Sarah. Now, we have not covered Abraham's entire story, so feel free to read farther into your Bible if you'd like with your family to hear more of what happens to Abraham and Sarah, because there's a lot. There's really quite a bit. But we are concentrating on how God first called on Abraham, how Abraham answered, and the promise, or what's the big word? Covenant. The promise or the covenant that God made with Abraham, and of course, the son that Sarah will have. We'll talk about that too. So that's all in it. Okay, children, I'm going to start reading our first part of the Bible story. Now, I need you to pay attention, okay, because the answers for the questions that you're going to be asked are within these readings. So put those listening ears on, okay? And I am reading from our Bible that we use a lot, the Children's Bible, okay? And if any of you need a copy, you just let me know. And I'm on page 23, story 12, the story of Abraham, and this particular one is from the book of Genesis 11 and 12, and it's called God Calls Abram. All right, listen up. Many of Shem's descendants lived in cities on the rich, fertile plain of Mesopotamia. Sorry. We're going to save the outtakes for a Christmas reel. Sorry, Davey.
It's okay.
Many of Shem's descendants lived in cities on the rich, fertile plain of Mesopotamia. In one of the cities, called lived a man named Abram. Was a fine city. There were merchants and scribes and comfortable houses for the rich and wealthy citizens like Abram. The people worshipped the moon goddess at the beautiful Ziggurat temple. One day, though, God spoke to Abram. He had something very surprising to say. Leave God said, and set out for a country that I will show you. I will make you great and bless you. I will make you a blessing to all people everywhere. Abram had to think hard. If he did as God said, he would leave the comfort of city life and have no settled home. He would live in a tent, moving from one source of water to the next. But Abram trusted God enough to obey him. So he and Sarai, his wife, packed up their possessions and got ready to leave At first, they stayed at Haran, many miles to the north, until Abram's old father died. Then Abram and Sarai and Lot, who was their nephew, set off on the journey that would last for the rest of Abram's life. Abram and Sarai had no children, but there were many servants and herdsmen belonging to Lot, as well as to Abram. So they had plenty of helpers. There were sheep and goats and donkeys to carry all the baggage. Slowly they trekked from one well or spring to the next, setting up their large black goatskin tents. They were making their way to the country of Canaan, as God told Abram to do. Today, I have some special helpers with me. Yes, right here is Mr. Ian. You know Ian as our youth director here at church, but he's everything to me. He's just such a big help to KOK and our Sunday school lessons and our step-up kids. And so he's just a treasure. So welcome, Ian.
Thank you.
Do you feel loved?
I do.
Oh, good. And then one of my favorite people in the world, Barbara Dial's here with us today. Miss Barbara, most of you had her when you were in the nursery, I think, or a lot of you when you were in the nursery. And Barbara, many years ago, she helped start these workshop rotation Sunday school classes that we do here at church. She was like one of the first people on board with it and helped write all these lessons. And we have 6 years of lessons. Whew. 6 years. And a lot of that's because of her. All right? So big thanks to Miss Barbara. And Miss Barbara was a teacher. She's a retired teacher. So we know how hard she worked as a teacher. And she did a lot of fourth grade. But she also did first and second grade, right?
Right.
So fourth grade was my favorite, I think. I remember my teacher from fourth grade,
I
Mrs.
love
Williams.
fourth graders.
Yeah,
They're great.
How about you, Ian? What did you like?
Oh, everything.
Everything?
Everything.
Everything.
And not,
Okay, everything.
every part.
Every part. Okay, well, good. All right. Okay, so today we are going to play a game. We're going to do an Abraham and Sarah review. Now, here's what you need, okay? You need paper. Miss Barbara will explain that more. And you need either some markers or a pencil or a colored pencil, something that you like to write with, okay? So if you need to pause right now and get that, we can pause. Okay, just hit the button. Okay. And if you have it already, great. But you're going to need something to draw with and a piece of paper, all right? Okay. All right. I'm going to let Miss Barbara explain what we're doing.
Well, I am thrilled to be here. This is going to be a lot of fun, I hope, for you. First of all, we're going to take a plain piece of paper, and I want you to hold it hamburger style. This is hamburger style because it's wider and fatter, and this is hot dog style because it is. That's not the right way.
No, you eat the hot dog this way.
All right, the hot dog goes up and down because it's long and skinny. So we're going to hold it hamburger style. So hold your paper hamburger style. And this is just a quick drawing that you can make stick figures. It doesn't have to be something that artistic even. Listen to the entire question before you start to draw. Some of them have more than one part, and you'll want to be sure that you get the right part to make your drawing. Okay, y'all ready to get started?
Ready?
Yes.
All right, the first question.
Okay.
If God told Abram and his family to move to a new land, draw a line like the ground at the bottom of your page.
You say that one more time?
If God told Abram and his family to move to a new land, draw a line like the ground at the bottom of your page.
Oh, look at that pen.
Question 2. God told Abram he would make him a blessing to all people everywhere. If that is true, draw a stick person along the ground. Now you might want to make this to one side or the other side because you're going to draw a lot more things. So God told Abram he would make him a blessing to all the people everywhere. If that is true, draw a stick person along the ground. standing up, not lying down.
Can I get a new sheet of paper?
Yes, Ian, you may have a new sheet of paper.
He was laying down.
Okay. I'm glad it's a stick figure because you know me, Miss Cheryl, she can't draw very well. So stick
Neither
people.
can Miss Farmer.
Mhm.
Okay. Abram did not obey God. If that's true, draw a fish in the ocean.
Did not obey God?
Did not obey God. If that's true, draw a fish in the ocean.
I think that's a trick question.
If Abram took sheep, goats, and donkeys to carry their belongings, draw a stick figure of his wife Sarai next to Abram. If Abram took sheep, goats, and donkeys to carry their belongings, draw a stick figure of his wife Sarai next to Abram.
Okay.
Question number 5. If we're going too fast, you can always pause your video. If they are traveling from Ur to Canaan, draw an upside down V on the ground to look like a tent. Or, if they were traveling from Canaan to Ur, draw a hole in the ground. If they were traveling from Ur to Canaan, draw an upside down V on the ground to look like a tent.
Oh.
Or, if they were traveling from Canaan to Ur, draw a hole in the ground.
God's promise. Lot chose the green plain of Jordan and left his uncle Abram to wander the bare, rocky hills. But in spite of choosing the best for himself, Lot was soon in trouble. He settled in Sodom, one of the cities on the plain. War broke out between chiefs of nearby cities, and Lot was taken hostage by a chieftain who raided Sodom. Abram came quickly to the rescue with a strong band of his own men and set Lot free. Abram would not take payment or reward from the chiefs he had helped. But God talked to Abram once more, saying, "Do not be afraid, Abram. I will keep you safe, and I will give you a great reward." Abram wanted neither riches nor honor. There was only one thing he and Sarai wanted. A child of their own. "What good will riches do to me?" He asked bitterly. "I have no son to inherit my wealth. Sarai and I are too old now to have children. When I die, one of my slaves will be my heir." "Come outside of your tent," God told him, "and look up at the sky." Abram went out into the cool evening air. The night was bright with stars. "Can you count those stars?" God asked. "I promise that you will have as many descendants as there are stars in the sky. I am the God who brought you out of Ur. I will be your God and your children's God forever. I'm going to give you and Sarai a son, and I will give you this country for his descendants to live in." Although God's promises sounded impossible, Abram stood there in the velvety darkness. He believed with all his heart that God would keep his word. God was glad that Abram trusted him. He accepted Abram because he put his whole faith in God. Henceforth, Abram will be called Abraham, and Sarai will be called Sarah.
Question number 6. Draw a star in the sky if Lot left Abram and wandered elsewhere. Draw a star in the sky if Lot left Abram and wandered elsewhere. You remember Lot was Abram's nephew, I believe.
Oh.
If Abram and his men rescued Lot and freed him, draw 3 more stars. If Abram and his men rescued Lot and freed him, draw 3 more stars.
You know, stars aren't all the same colors.
I know.
We
I
learned
did
that
not-
last week.
I saw that
We
last
learned
week
that
because
last week.
I watch your lessons
Well,
too,
thank
Miss
you.
Cheryl.
Well,
I
thank
love
you.
them. I'm really just 7. I'm not really 77. If Abram asked for riches and honor for rescuing Lot, draw 5 moons. If Abram did not ask for riches, draw 3 more stars. That's kind of a, let me read that one again.
Read that again.
If
Yeah.
Abram asked for riches and honor for rescuing Lot, if he said, I want lots of money and gold and I want everyone to bow down to me, then draw 5 moons. If he told God, I don't need any riches, draw 3 more stars. If Abram did not ask for riches, draw 3 more stars. Question number 9. Are you ready? Okay.
I am now.
God had Abram look at the heavens and stars in the sky. If that is true, draw 5 more stars. If that is not true, draw 5 moons.
Well, that's a lot of stars.
God had Abram look at the heavens and stars in the sky. If that is true, draw 5 more stars. If that is not true, draw 5 moons.
Well, I feel like drawing moons.
Well, you'll get a chance too if you don't think that's the right answer.
Just let him do it.
Moons.
Okay. Question number 10. Is a covenant a promise?
Mm.
If yes, draw the moon.
Oh,
Is a covenant a promise?
promise.
If yes, draw the moon.
Draw a better moon.
The sky's looking pretty.
Question number 11. God's promise or covenant was that Abram and Sarai would have as many great-grandchildren, grandchildren, great-great-grandchildren as the stars in the sky. If this is true, draw 5 more stars. God's promise or covenant was that Abraham and Sarai would have as many grandchildren, great-grandchildren, great-great-grandchildren, great-great-great-great-grandchildren as the stars in the sky. If that's true, draw 5 more stars.
I'm running out of room. Okay.
Number 12. If God changed Abram's name to Sam and Sarai's name to Sophie, draw a tornado in the sky. If God changed Abram's name to Sam and Sarai's name to Sophie, draw a tornado in the sky. The special visitors, Genesis chapter 18. One day, Abraham was sitting at the opening of his tent while Sarah tried to keep cool inside. The midday sun was beating down. Abraham looked up and was surprised to see 3 men coming near. People did not usually travel at the hottest time of the day. Abraham ran to meet them, knowing that they would need shade and water. Please stop and rest, he invited them. Sit under this tree while I fetch you water to drink and wash with. The men sat down gratefully, and Abraham hurried in to Sarah and asked her to get a good meal ready for their unexpected visitors. There was bread to be baked, a calf to be killed and cooked, milk and cream to be fetched. All was hustle and bustle. At last, Abraham served the visitors with a fine outdoor banquet under the tree. And then the leader asked, "Where is Sarah?" "In the tent," Abraham replied, surprised. "In 9 months' time she will have a son," the man said. Sarah, who was curious to know more about these visitors, had been standing just inside the tent flap listening. When she heard what the stranger said, she burst out laughing. It was impossible. She was far too old to have a son. "Why did Sarah laugh?" the man asked. "I didn't," called out Sarah guiltily. "But you did," the man replied. "Is anything too hard for the Lord? I will certainly do as I have promised." When he heard those words, Abraham realized with a shock that none of these visitors were ordinary men. Their leader spoke the words of God Himself. Chapter 21 of Genesis. Of course, God kept His promise to Abraham and Sarah, just as He had said, and at the time that He had foretold, Sarah gave birth to a baby boy. She was so happy that she laughed for joy. When the time came to give the baby a name, Abraham called him Isaac, which means he laughs. Question number 13. Abraham was 99 when he saw 3 strangers standing near his tent. If this is true, draw a tree next to the tent. It can be a stick tree too. Abraham was 99 when he saw 3 strangers standing next to his tent. If this is true, draw a tree next to the tent.
I have to think about it.
Question number 14. Abraham and Sarah prepared a meal for the strangers. If that's true, draw a small campfire near the tent. Abraham and Sarah prepared a meal for the strangers. If that's true, draw a small campfire near the tent, because they would have cooked on a campfire.
Yeah.
That's why
They didn't
we
have a
draw-
stove?
They didn't have a stove.
What about a microwave? Would have been easier though.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, it would have been hard to carry on your back
Yeah, that's true.
because they were traveling by foot.
Oh yeah.
But they had
Yeah.
animals to help.
They had animals to help, but they didn't have electricity.
That's true.
Oh,
Because they're camping.
that's important.
They're camping.
Yeah, that's really important. All right, ready for question 15?
Yes.
The 3 strangers told Abraham that God did not keep His promises. If that's true, draw apples on the tree. The 3 strangers told Abraham that God did not keep His promises. If that's true, draw apples on the tree. Question 16. One of the strangers told Abraham that Sarah would bear a child. If that's true, draw a stick man near the tent. One of the strangers told Abraham that Sarah would bear a child. If that's true, draw a stick man near the tent. We're going to eventually possibly draw the man. We'll see. Question 17. If Sarah cried and said she could not bear children, draw an igloo. Or if Sarah laughed and said she was too old to bear children, draw another stick man near the tent. If Sarah cried and said she was too old to bear children, draw an igloo. Or if Sarah laughed and said she was too old to bear children, draw another stick man near the tent.
Igloo. In a desert.
In the desert, an igloo. We'll see. Question 18. When the man said, Is anything too hard for the Lord? I will certainly do as I promised. Abraham realized the strangers were not ordinary visitors, but their leader spoke the words of God Himself. Draw one more stick figure near the tent, if that's true. When the man said, "Is anything too hard for the Lord? I will certainly do as I promised," Abraham realized these strangers were not ordinary visitors, but their leader spoke the words of God Himself. Draw one more stick figure near the tent, if that is true. Have two more questions.
Two more? Two
Oh,
more?
wow.
Two more.
Number 19. Just as God had promised, Sarah gave birth to a baby girl. If correct, draw an angel. Just as God had promised, Sarah gave birth to a baby girl. Draw an angel if that is right. And the last question. Abraham named the baby boy Sarah had given birth to Isaac, which means laughter. If that is true, draw a baby close to Abraham and Sarah. You can put it in one of their arms if you want to.
Baby boy?
A baby boy.
Oh,
Big boy.
baby boy.
Abraham named the baby boy Sarah had given birth to Isaac, which means laughter. If that's true, draw a baby close to Abraham and Sarah. I hope you had fun with this.
I did.
I had so much fun.
I did. I'm gonna show my picture.
Shall I
wanna
see
show
your
mine too.
picture?
You're gonna show yours too? Ian has
And he-
ink all over his face.
Do I?
Yes, little spots.
I've been thinking so hard about
Hard, you
all
just-
these
yeah,
answers.
Yeah, okay.
There's always
Great.
All
one.
right.
Ian,
Yeah,
always
we'll have to
one.
get a picture of
Good
that.
thing it's washable.
Let's
All
hope
right.
so.
This is my picture.
Good job.
Thank
All
So-
right, Ian, nice.
The moon's made of cheese.
you. Oh.
Okay.
And then I put a tornado, but then I marked it out. But it looks like there's more tornado
Okay.
because I marked it out with the same color.
Oh, okay.
It's
And
okay.
then there's one of the stick people was a leprechaun instead,
Oh.
and another one was a mermaid.
That's nice,
That's
Ian.
creative
I like
thinking.
your
Creative
creativity.
thinking.
You know, thanks. And the spaceship,
Maybe.
just a little spaceship,
Well, that would be cool.
just a little.
Yeah.
You didn't ask for it, but
Okay.
But that's just your addition.
I
Okay.
just got excited.
Okay. Well, that's good. Thank you, Ian.
Thank you.
Ian.
All right.
We
Good job.
did a good job.
We did.
We did. We're a little different, but so how's your picture? How's your picture look? I would love to see it. So if you can take a picture of your picture and send it to me, that would be great. Or just mail me your picture. I would love that too. So I can hang them on my door. You know how I like to hang pictures on my door. Well, I hope you had fun. I had fun, and I certainly appreciate Miss Barbara and Ian being here with us today. That made it very special. So that wraps up our studies on Abraham and Sarah. And next week, another big lesson is coming up, the 10 Commandments. The 10 Commandments. So we're going to study them all, see if we can memorize them, and see what's ahead with that. So, let's see. Why don't we end with our prayer? All right? Let's just take a moment to pray. God, help us always to remember that with you anything is possible. Help us to stay faithful to you. Lord, please bless these children, their families, their friends, our church family, and our country. We praise you, dear Lord. Amen. Thanks, everybody. See you next week. Hugs. Take care.